She says it's good. She feels nice. She says Phoebe's nice.
And there's repetitive and feels like she doesn't care, or inconsistent, and that she doesn't care.
Yeah.
She doesn't tell her she feels at the end.
No. This is short.
So 0, 1, or 2.
Well, remember, we're focusing on feedback here. I mean, what's always the case is that whenever I ask people to focus on feedback, they always give a score as well, which makes total sense to me. In other words, what you're convincing me that you cannot move away from the score.
Sorry about that.
Because we need that grade.
Oh, I know. I'm calling your bluff is what I'm doing. Yeah, what would be a very central piece of feedback for this kid?
She didn't tell us how she felt.
I love how you were telling me how Lynn feels at the beginning of the story. And you're doing a nice job using some textual details to show how she actually doesn't seem to care at the beginning of the story. Nice detail, wears all kinds of crazy clothes. That's true, as indication that she doesn't really care. Nice job. What's missing from your response is how she feels at the end. And then details that show how she feels at the end. If you do that, if you walk through that door, that is going to be great. Total success. Okay? Other comments on this one? It's good. It's a pretty good start.
Yeah.
All right?
So what score are you getting?
We're all.
I'm not going to walk into that trap. You can figure that out. Yeah, I agree with you.
Yay!
Let's make sure we're on the same track.
What about this one?
Oh, 0.
Zero.
If the other one
That's not the objective. The objective is all on feedback.
Folks.
You
Well,
did
different,
tell
but
us-
that's the same
you did tell us she does feel different, but I need to know how she feels versus how she doesn't.
It doesn't say the feelings.
Yes. How does she feel at the end of the story? And how does she feel at the beginning of the story?
And how do you know?
Different.
And how do you know?
How is that different?
And how is that different? We're in tight agreement there on the feedback that this student should receive. That's good. What about this kid? Oh, this is a 5th grade kid, by the way.
Did her the outfit.
You told me how she feels. She doesn't.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly, yeah. Yeah.
You would have been English, right? That's just not crazy.
That's not the
And I got the music.
The evidence was she thought she was going to be leaving anyway.
All right, you've had enough time to talk to yourselves. Let's go to large group again. Who feels this response is pretty successful?
Yes.
I agree. What's interesting is that you get a really good, clear response to how she feels at the end of the story. And I'm going to argue that you also get a pretty good, clear response about how she feels at the end. According to this student, at the beginning, should I say, which is the part that you get at the end of the response. So, according to this kid, how does this student, or how does Lynn feel at the beginning of the story? Doesn't care. At the beginning, she feels what? Oh, I'm sorry, I keep using it wrong. My mistake. At the end, Lynn feels what?
Embarrassed.
Do you think that that's a possibility, that Lynn feels embarrassed?
Yeah.
I do too. Yep, I think
Depends
that's
what
it.
you think, so it depends on how the person answering perceives it.
That's right. I think that we can all agree, though, that it's plausible that Lynn would feel embarrassed at the end of the story, for the reasons that the student mentions.
Right. Good details.
Is that the only way that Lynn would feel at the end of the story?
No.
No. I mean, you could have given a different.
At least she's been noticed, the kids know who she are in her new school now that she's settled in, who she is.
That's right.
You guys make fun.
Any feedback that you would give this student to drive it even further? Yeah, I think that you might give a little bit more textual detail about how at the beginning of the story she just doesn't care.
Yeah, how do you know she does?
Yeah. What would be, if you wanted to use some textual details to back up the answer that at the beginning she just doesn't care? What could you bring in? What kind of textual details, which textual details could you bring in?
About she cared, she made friends. She made friends with one friend.
Good. Yep. Very good. Very, very good. We're on the same page there. Okay, let's finish up with the narrative. You could have predicted this one. Comments on the prompts? Any issues that you can foresee with reading comprehension of the prompts?
Yes, we were just saying,
Yeah.
it says, as you write, be sure to think about, I was like, you didn't write anything about the passage. Well, I thought about it, it says, be sure to think about what you have learned.
That, a lot of kids are gonna be like.
It doesn't say include details from the passage to the story. It says, as you write, be sure to think about it.
And in a manner of speaking, it's the same
Right,
direction.
right.
Because in a narrative, you're not going to say things like, well, according to a bad move, Lynn, da, da, da. No. You're going to incorporate details as you see fit,
Right.
based on your understanding of the story. So talking with kids about what that second sentence means.
Yeah, because I think my kids would start off saying, I think that, I think this is what's gonna happen to Lynn next. She's
Right.
gonna blah, blah, blah.
Oh. Is that all right? The writer's process. We have a beginning already. We have a middle already. What do we need to do? Add the ending. That's your one job. What kind of stuff might happen in there? And I want to be totally clear. There are a lot of ways that you can end this story. There's not one right answer. There are some ways that you could end the story that would not make sense, though. For instance, I don't think that you should have Lynn get in the car and go to Six Flags.
You don't think we should write that book.
And for one reason. Why not?
It's not really question to think about the first one.
But
We didn't really learn about,
she was running away from her embarrassing.
yeah, I mean, we didn't learn about Lynn's fascination with roller coasters in A Bad Mood. It wouldn't really make sense. Similarly, it wouldn't make sense for Lynn to get in the car and go to a Braves game. What would make sense though? Let's just briefly talk about, brainstorm a couple of options.
The next day.
The next day.
Yeah, since it's in chronological order, you would need, like, the next school day would have been a Monday.
Right. That's right. So back to school on Monday.
That night, the
She
discussion.
won't be able to fit in now that she stood out so much.
Good?
At the dinner table, talking to mama about staying.
You could actually go home that night and have a conversation at the dinner table.
Because mama really hasn't told her yet. She was telling the principal about it, but she hasn't told.
That's right.
As far as I know.
Some of you are gonna wanna just keep the action going immediately on Friday afternoon. Lynn got called into the principal's office. Your ending might take place in the principal's
I
office.
have a question. Okay, so this is a narrative and the purpose is to end the story. Do you
Yeah.
think you have kids write one paragraph? Because isn't this supposed to have a beginning? Because it's a narrative, is this not a?
We're just writing,
Exactly.
we're writing the end of it.
So you're just gonna, they're only gonna expect one paragraph. The one before said, write a story.
Continue.
So
she's saying
That's hard for
This
kids.
is
to-
why, I mean,
Yeah,
Haley,
it's
you
hard
bring up a
to
good
figure
point.
out which one they're doing.
Is this a 1 through 0 through 4?
Right,
So,
and we may be able to figure that out, but I'm saying the student. Like, I guess that takes some coaching. These are words you may see when it means to include this and that and this and that.
Yeah. So do you have to read a whole story here? Oh. You need to tack on an ending. Some of you are gonna write longer endings than others. I think that you could write a paragraph or so, and it's gonna be all about the quality of what you say, rather than just the quantity of what you've written. So, you know, we've been talking about evaluating narratives. What are the biggies that I'm gonna be looking for, and that you're gonna be looking for? Yeah, I mean,
The way you think.
right, so descriptive detail. Might you have characters talking to one another? May or may not. If you did have dialogue, which characters might be talking to one another? Maybe Lynn and Mom, maybe a peer buddy and Lynn, yeah? Good. Maybe Lynn and her teacher? Okay. I'm just gonna highlight those. Descriptive details are gonna be in blue, dialogue is gonna be in green. Not every one of these responses is gonna have some color coding, but some of them are. Alright. I've stripped out all the scores here again, but you could give a score. Hasn't even seen it yet. But more importantly, what kind of feedback would you get? Okay, let's start here.
Very cool.
Really good, huh?
Creative.
All right,
Wait.
what feedback would you give this kid?
What was the question?
What feedback would you give this kid?
Base the extra on the story.
Say it again.
To base that, was still to continue the story question?
Yeah.
That was my question.
Oh, sorry.
Don't be sorry for this.
Maybe more dialogue?
Maybe a little bit more dialogue between whom?
Why do they like her clothes? Ms. Leonard, the principal, and Lynn.
Yeah, I think that actually maybe in this first paragraph, a little bit more dialogue, having between Mom, the principal, and even Lynn. might be a really good idea, but I want to be clear, you are doing really good work here.
Right, yeah.
I want to say that, bar none, you are doing really good work here. I love all of these descriptive details about the kind of clothes that Lynn's wearing. I also like how you have Lynn kind of asking herself a question at the very end. You are doing some solid work. Keep it up. Keep this up. If anything, let's add maybe just a little bit of dialogue at the beginning here, where these characters are talking to each other. What might they say to one another? In fact, let me show you, go ahead, how this kid responded to that piece of feedback. So here's draft 1. There's draft 2. Oh, there was some help with the quotation marks and all that stuff. So there was pretty good there was pretty good teacher-student conferencing, but the dialogue was all the students.
No, because when it's such a leadership, she would never fall into it. I agree.
Mom said, like,
That's
everything.
Way to take feedback and run with it. That's good dialogue. All right, let me show you one more. Oh, yeah. There you go.
They're just summarizing.
Does she end it though?
What happened? We had a big storm.
Most of this response though takes the form of what?
A summary.
A summary. Which is a fairly common sort of approach that students at the lower end make. What's the feedback to this kid?
And we need more details on how it's gonna be, like, when she hears about the great news.
Just like keep going with it, don't stop.
Okay,
How's she gonna handle it going back to school?
Yeah, this piece right here, like last few sentences. That's what I want to learn more about. You know? Lynn got to the principal's office and learned the news. She had a big smile on her face. Great news, Lynn said. This is great news. I want to learn more about that.
Maybe telling her that when the prompt says the end, we don't need so much background knowledge. Great that you included details, but let's do more details after the end
That's right.
instead of before it.
That's right. Well said.
But still really well written, I mean.
Yeah.
I agree. That's a nice thing to say to the student.
Yeah,
And you can just tell them so it won't sound so totally negative that it's because of time.
just remember about your prompt, you know, remember what it's asking.
Because the writing is good.
The writing is good. I can show you other responses where it did not end very well for Lynn. But
yes, please.
they kind of take down the tone of the conversation, so. All right. That's the narrative. In the few minutes that we have, let's debrief a little bit. So, we had a couple days. Fiction one day. Today. Nonfiction the other day, yesterday. One of the things that we know about text-dependent writing is that in order for writing to be successful, what else needs to be successful? The reading. What have we talked about over the last couple of days that can help the reading become more successful, which is also based in really good theory and research?
Reading and discussion.
Discussion questions, a lot of this, a lot of talking, purposeful talking though. What is one way to keep the talking purposeful?
Stay relevant.
Say it again.
Stay relevant. Or, don't get off topic.
No, you're right. I mean, keep things relevant to the story.
Keep questions standard based.
Keep questions standards based. Those are the things that the standards are asking kids to look for, and that's what we can ask our kids to look for during discussion. Positive effects of aligning discussion questions to the reading standards also, theoretically, will be better performance on milestones. Why? The ELA portion. Forget about the writing for a second. Think about all the reading comprehension questions that students are asked on end of grade assessments. If we're constantly asking kids to look for,
Yeah.
They'll kind of go through it.
I feel like their toolbox is bigger.
The modeling will actually come into play.
That's right.
Do it on their own.
that's an assumption that is sometimes violated. However, it doesn't mean that we don't keep at it. Here's my suggestion. I'm going to share both templates with you. Fiction today and nonfiction yesterday. In addition to both of the slide decks. I'd encourage you to fill out these templates using texts of your own. How's it going? My sense is that you all did an amazing job here with the text that I brought in. The pre-reading questions that you asked, the discussions questions that you asked were really tightly aligned with the standards, which is something that I'm always interested in. Are we having our kids read for the kinds of things that they're expected to read for? I think there's a ton of evidence over the last couple of days that you are really expert at asking kids to read for the kinds of things that the standards are asking them to read for. So keep that up. I would invite you, this is my last thing I'm going to say, I would invite you to do this. If you complete a template as a grade level, 3rd grade, 4th grade, 5th grade, just one of them per grade level. Just because it keeps things more manageable that way. You please share it with me, and I'll give you feedback. I'll give you feedback on your pre-reading questions, your discussion questions, your writing questions. And what I'll also do is if you drop in a few student responses into the template, I'll tell you what feedback I would give those kids. Okay? And it would just be a way for us to keep the conversation going. Literacy instruction is hard. There is no one way to do it. Why? Why? It would be really nice if there was just like one way to teach reading and writing. And then also, let me throw in there that every writing situation and every reading situation is different. There's no one size fits all. That's a great challenge for us as instructors. And so I would just invite you to keep the conversation going with me because we have it together. Just like when we work with students, we do it together. As practitioners, we're in this together. Okay? So don't be a stranger. Keep in touch, okay? Questions, comments before you take off?
Didn't you say you were going to send this PowerPoint?
Yep, I'll send both PowerPoints and to Tammy if that's all right. And what I'll do is I'll also send both templates. What I'm also going to do is I'm going to create a little Google folder for the school. 3rd grade, 4th grade, 5th grade. Each grade level will have fiction and then nonfiction. And so if you want to, drop in a completed template into your grade level folder. You'll also see a little folder that says student responses. And there you could drop in some actual student responses. Probably the easiest way to do that would be, especially if you have handwritten responses, just take a photo with your phone and just upload that JPEG straight to the Google folder. Very easy to do. And I'll give you feedback. All right. Good to see you.
Thank you. Thank you.
See ya. Thanks for coming.
Good luck.
Go ahead. Thanks for coming.
Earbuds. Juanita from our Google Classroom that I'm